It's been a while since the alpha species was observed in this odd state with fancy new markings to attract curious spectators. This is a very unusual sight as this family prepares to feed on the hardware. After the evolution of its distinct features, this particular alpha is to roam into the wild, reflecting anything in its path. This species is unlike anything from Lian Li family. The bone structure is no longer aluminum, and we're about to witness one of the great phenomena with the return of Lian Li back into its natural habitat. This alpha will need to feed to survive. Let's study this species to determine its fate right after this. Choose Be Quiet to join the silent revolution. Designed and tested in Germany, their meticulous passion for quiet PC components ranges from premium power supplies, CPU coolers and fans, and innovative PC cases, all of which aim to achieve one thing. Is this thing even on? That's right, totally quiet power supplies, even under load. Silent Wings fans deliver awesome airflow with noise that doesn't reach your ears, all enclosed in a package designed to be quiet. So guys, I'm extremely excited to finally check out something different from Lian Li, their new mid-tower cases, the Alpha 330 and 550. The price points are fine considering all the glass and modern interiors, but it is strange how there is nothing aluminum on these cases, which has been the staple for Lian Li for so long, and despite the good build quality of the frame, they feel almost generic. But I am so happy they have simplified their naming schemes and not the usual PC-random numbers and letters, and I'm hoping this trend will continue. Now, as part of their restructuring of the brand, we have a new logo that is recognizable, although it does remind me a little bit of the Fantastic Four, but I like the subtle integration of the logo on the front panel and on the interior. So the frame on these two is basically identical. It's a good direction because buying the cheaper model doesn't mean worse assembly process. There's a large bottom dust filter. It's removable from the side and it's built into the case feet, which is why they look so ugly. There are dual vertical PCI brackets, which are pretty close to the side panel with no riser card nor any mounting accessories included on either model. The right side panel is blacked out to hide the power supply area while letting you showcase all those drives and the cable work above. And the interiors are identical in every way, so what exactly is different? So the 550 has extra paneling on the front and the top with side ventilation, whereas the 330 doesn't. So top radiator options on the smaller version are less ideal. For example, the 330 has a dust filter up top with triple 120 or dual 140mm fan support, which are centered, so it's not really good for radiators. Whereas on the 550, because of that additional top panel, we have a little bit more height and have a dedicated fan bracket, so you can install a 280mm or a 360mm radiator without interior interference. And because the I/O is shifted to the front too, triple 140mm fans can be installed here. Now I say shifted because the I/O on the 330 is right at the top with a Type-C port that needs to be present on more cases, so very happy to see that here with Lian Li. Whereas on the 550, the I/O is hidden behind this front cover, making room for that top fan bracket. And the cover is angled and doesn't fold all the way down, but one of the reasons why I love me a Type-C port is because of that lower profile motherboard connector. Now, unfortunately, Lian Li got on board with the whole tempered glass movement without acknowledging our concerns with airflow and how front glass panels really choke the fans. So that's what we have on both cases. The spacing between the panel and the fans is way too short. And while I appreciate the look of the reflective yet see-through nature of glass, I prefer better cooling instead for the front. And both cases are actually well equipped for fans. So the 550 comes with three 120mm RGB fans mounted on the removable bracket, and each case has a black exhaust fan. It's like they're trying to get rid of piles of crappy fans because these have Molex connectors for power. Something's not right. While the three RGB fans on the 550 are connected to a dedicated controller hub that also requires a Molex connection for power with a PWM connector that you need to pull away and route to your motherboard for actual fan speed control because the hub is only for color. Granted, the illumination is quite nice with many colors and effects, but instead of software control, we get a remote. And so none of the colors match on the color selection, so it's best to just cycle until you find something you like. Now, the ambient strip below the I/O is pretty cool, but there is no individual LED control, so they're all on or there's nothing. The fans also have a proprietary connection to the hub, which kind of sucks. You cannot connect them to your motherboard, for example. And so because of that, I would actually gravitate towards the cheaper 330 and fill it with my own fans and lighting. Also, 2 out of the 3 stickers are misaligned in the center, which really bugs me. And I don't know about you guys, but the frame on the dust filter is quite distracting. It's not really clean with those lines, especially more visible on the white model. And with regards to that white model, I wish Lian Li would go the accent route instead of having the entire frame in white. It would help to camouflage those black cables better. And I think the best example here is the new H700i from NZXT that still allows that color coordination for your white frame, but not just going full white. But the interior layout is actually pretty great, borrowing many elements from the mainstream, like the cable cover at the front with reservoir support. There is a pump bracket at the front and additional 45mm of clearance for a front radiator, and a nice long cutout on the shroud for GPU cables that you can maneuver based on the length of your card, and more cable cutouts right below the motherboard. And storage-wise, it's excellent with 3 brackets at the back. There are 2 for SSDs or hard drives. There are 2 more in the bottom chamber that are completely removable. And then there's this swivel bracket that can house 3 additional SSDs and actually has a secondary purpose to hide cables entering into that main chamber. There are also Velcro straps available, and this bracket is easily removable for drive installation. All in all, Lian Li has put out a fantastic frame on both sides, and so it's time to build. Alright, so first of all, the rear section is super wide. This is just in case you decide to install those 3.5-inch drives on those brackets, and this makes cable cleanup super easy. With the panel closed, you could light up this area for some creative showcase, but even with a bit of a cable mess that I've created here, it doesn't look terrible. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the interior, and I love the light spill from the fans and the multiple entrances on top of the motherboard for cable routing. But as usual, this is an oversized mid-tower to accommodate water cooling, because with this simple setup that I have here, it just feels empty. I would love a more compact frame like the Meshify C, because even with an AIO either at the front or the top, the case still would feel too long. Okay, so for my conclusion, I want to say that I'm pretty happy with Lian Li's reintroduction into the mainstream. I think they have a really fantastic frame on their hands that I hope that they develop a little bit more and evolve the exterior so that we have better airflow options on the exterior, so you're not choking the front airflow constantly. I want to see more airflow priorities, and we can lower down the TG sort of addiction from the case manufacturers, because I think people want to see more airflow options and not more glass options, please. Now, their RGB integration with the 550 feels like an afterthought, because everyone's moving towards a software integration, and especially tying the RGB illumination of your case and fans to your motherboard so you can match everything up. But with the remote, it feels a little bit not as high quality or premium as you would expect for this price point. And I really want to hear what you guys think about my comment about this being just a way too large case for the regular consumer. If you're not doing dual radiators, then what's the point of having such a large tower? And I would love for companies to start to compact things, because it seems like we're ballooning back out. This is not a mid tower. This is definitely a full tower category based on its full support and just the size too. I would love to see more compact towers, and let me know if you guys agree. And so those are my thoughts on the new alpha species from Lian Li. Let me know what you think. Do you think this will survive in the wild? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more similar content. We'll see you in the next video.